sorry about that. Hello everyone, I hope everyone's doing good. As the name suggests, I'm going to be continuing to work on the red dragon painting. I know it's been a while since I've done any of these. Yeah, life's been fun. I actually got a lot of snow where I'm at. Well, a lot for this area. I don't think a inch counts as a lot for most people. Hey Techno, how are you today? My back's been a little agitated because of the snow, but other than that, everything's going pretty good today. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get gloved up. I glove up to keep my hand grease from messing with the paint at all, so kinda helps with that. I think today we're gonna start getting down some of his red and then do his spikes after the red. So, I didn't get out my reference stuff. Yay! Give me just a second. How are you today, Techno? I'm going for a little bit more of a bright fiery red, so there's going to be a little bit of orange at times. Underneath the wings I'm planning to do kind of a bright orange to fade out to kind of a burnt color. Still teleworking? Oof. Teleworking is a nightmare. It's actually what I'm applying for a job right now on the other side of the screen. I'm really looking forward to it. I've never enjoyed call center work. I don't think anybody ever has. I hope it's going well for you. So the reason I'm starting to do the red instead of the spikes right away is it'll be really hard to get in between while the spikes are actually painted already. So I want to be able to get in between and get the vibrant reds that I want to. The red that he is currently is a spray paint base, and that was just to make sure I got all of the plastic color off of him. Trying to figure out which reds I want to mix together, considering I hardly ever stick to one color palette. I typically mix a bunch of different ones to kind of create a unique color. One of them is Dragon Red. I'm not sure if it's gonna. And this is what I covered the previous red dragon that I had done with. Wanting a little bit more variety to this red, so I actually need to get a different paintbrush. Part of my brain was like, you know, we'll just go ahead and do the spikes, and then my actual like smart brain was like, maybe you should focus about doing the red first. Priorities. Okay, so I'm gonna do a mix of fresh blood. Come on webcam, you can do it. Possibly, maybe. Oh, it's fresh blood and probably the dragon red that I just showed. Then I'm going to mix in a little bit of the ruby red. The ruby red, you know, it might be made from real dragons. I don't know. I didn't look at the process that they used to make it. So I am going to use a little bit of a ruby red, and that is a metallic-like color. A lot of times you wouldn't expect a primary color dragon to have any metallic qualities, but I like my dragons to shine a little bit, so I'm adding a little bit of shininess to it. So we're going to be focusing more on the red aspect of him instead of doing the inner orange right now, because I want to do the orange on the inside of the wings. But the outside of the wings and the body are definitely going to be vibrant reds. And even if I don't get the same mix of reds that I will the first time, I can at least go back and get kind of close, and it gives a little bit more depth to it. Oh, come on. And of course my paints are all stuck in there. Come on. Alright, now I have to find my needle again, which might be a needle in a haystack. No pun intended. I say no pun intended, but a pun can definitely be intended. Where is it? Where is my little kit? You know, you think I would do more prep before I get into these things, but I definitely don't do nearly as much prep as I should. Oh my goodness. I will find it, I swear. Okay, there's the needle. There it is. I should really locate my straight pen before I start, considering I definitely have to use it. Okay, there we go. Clean it up a little bit. Got paint all over the place. Okay, so I'm doing a decent chunk of it with the dragon red, so that's actually going to be my base for it. So I actually have a really decent chunk. And yes, my little art platter stays painted. I like getting a full layer of paint and then soaking it and then just peeling all of it off in one go. It makes it a lot easier to clean. The ruby red is really going to be where some of the darker red is going to come from. So I don't want to use too terrible much of it because I just want that nice little sparkle in it. I should use a stick for stirring. That would work much better. So we have a nice kind of deep red to use, and it will probably dry fairly quickly, so I'll have to add water as we get further into it. I'm going to start with the back part of his wings, or its wings, before doing like the body and the legs. I always like starting on the wings considering they're the most open and large section to do, and it kind of gives me an idea of what the color will look like fully spread out. And as much as I love the red dragon, it does not always love me. With all of the spikes, it is definitely painful at times to hold it. This red actually matches it goes really well with the current base, so it's not too much of a difference from what the base is, which will make kind of blending it a lot easier, and it'll make any missed spots seem more intentional than, oh no, they missed a spot. And my Etsy page is almost fully set up. I just need to start actually listing the stuff. I had to get all the packing materials, so stay tuned. That should be linked hopefully within the month. And I will definitely include a decent amount of video, I'm hoping, because I have all of the videos saved from previous paintings. So I will probably include that with the sale of the miniatures. So stay tuned for that if you really like them and would like them added to your campaigns, or just a really pretty on-the-shelf creature. not going to do anything fancy for the knuckles. A lot of times I would do a little bit more on the knuckles to make them stand out more than the webbing. But since it has really defined webbing more than it does the knuckles, I feel pretty good about leaving the knuckles up until the oil kind of goes in between the cracks, considering the oil paint gets in between all of the cracks and just emphasizes the depth of the miniature. A huge contrast to the red, so I'm not sure how clear it's coming off on the webcam. I always liked doing wings. Partly because it's really kind of therapeutic to have long strokes with the paintbrush. At least I find it that way. It's always nice to kind of go over spots that the base spray didn't necessarily get the best of. Some of the knuckles got a little bumped after the initial spray, so they have a decent amount of plastic still showing. So it's part of why I don't use the base as the actual color, but more as like an insurance policy of if I miss a spot, it doesn't look horrible. I'm gonna add a little bit of water to the paint, considering if the paint's too thick, you'll lose some of the smaller details in the plastic. And nobody wants to miss out on details. I kind of wish I had taken this a little bit of a brighter red. one thing that actually got me into the Elder Scrolls, because I played Skyrim as my first Elder Scrolls game. What really got me into it was there were dragons in the game. And I really, 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 really wanted a setting where you were more friendly with the dragons. Like the ESO dragon line. I was really, 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 really hoping that there was like an option where you could actually like team up with the dragons. I think that would have been a really fun way to go. But dragons definitely do make decent villains, but I think it'd be more fun to see more friendly dragons. And as you can see, I'm kind of going over the spikes a little bit, and that is exactly why you do the spikes last. Considering it's really, really hard to get in between them without touching them. And underneath, I do try and do kind of like a matte color when I do the yellows and stuff. I am going to get the thumb with the red. And when I go back through with the orange and the yellows, I'll kind of do a fade out from the thumb location. Just kind of moving some of the paint down to, one, thin it out off of the area that it's at, and to get a little bit more to fade into. So the red is definitely very, very close to the primer. There is a better shine to it, which I do like the shine. That is definitely in part the ruby red I added. How are you today? Between the spikes, I kind of just push the brush in and drag. That's another reason why a lot of my brushes end up frayed. Ow, 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 ow. All the spikes, all the spikes. This is probably one of the more spiky, a little more spiky than a lot of miniatures. Yay! Your eyes are still good! Yay! That's always good. Did they put the numbing stuff on your eyeball? That way they could poke it? I think that was my least favorite part of ever going to an eye doctor. when we do the rest of his body, with all of the spikes, I'm going to do a decent amount of water with a larger brush to then kind of move the pigment around and just get the pigment laid down to where it's not the primer, and it typically gives just enough oomph to really get that look. Yay! Not having a migraine after that is a huge accomplishment. Like, I am super glad that you didn't end up with the migraine. Down a little bit more. One problem of mixing a large amount of paint in one go is it will start to dry. To kind of prevent it from happening too much, adding a decent few drops of water and stirring it in will help keep the paint alive. Just kind of have to pay constant attention to it. I will say having OCD is probably one of the nicer things for my painting, is I very much try and get a smooth layer. I actually get a little freaked out if I can see a brush line, because I really like the smooth, like, fullness of it. I try not to have streaks where the brush was, which typically results in a lot of going over it a few times. Which is why having it watered down a bit helps, that way I'm not losing detail. Spiky. I feel like I need to name it Spike. Like, I felt that way when I did the first one too. Like, they're just such a spiky miniature. Another big thing when you add water is making sure you don't add too much. If you add too much water, it'll actually kind of foam when you move the paintbrush around too much. It'll kind of do a foam bubbly thing, and it's not fun to work with. I have a feeling I really should have done a better check on the other wing to make sure it was dry before I started touching it, but it looks like it's working, so not too worried. Sorry, didn't mean to bump the camera. Everybody who has motion sickness, I apologize. Starting to get to where it's getting hard to move around the paint. Through some of the cracks and crevices to make sure to get full coverage. Not cell phone coverage, but paint coverage. Going over it a little bit, making sure that I actually got all of the primer spots. Ow. The wonderful spikes, the wonderful, wonderful spikes. They're so much fun. So I'm going to try and get the spots that are a little more delicate, that way I don't mess up the belly here before going through on the back and doing the kind of bracing, get the color in. the smaller fine details are really where it stands out from the primer. I am going to get these little platelets here. They will be covered with more of a bone look, but getting them now gives a more smooth transition into the rest of the red, so it gives it a little bit more stability in it. I am going to be really careful with the hole in the foot. That is part of the area where it will anchor to the base. So I just really want to be kind of gentle around it and not get any paint blocking it. When I do the base for this one, it is going to be a full-on dragon horde. So there's going to be a lot of glitter, there's going to be a lot of different things that go into making the dragon horde. I typically paint the dragon first, and then I'll do the horde on its own before adding the dragon back to the horde. Back into the camera for everybody. Parts that I'm being the most careful right now are going to be the belly and the face. On the back we'll be able to do the kind of quick and easy way of getting color in, but I want to make sure I don't damage the belly since I already put a lot of work into that. By all rights, I probably should have done the red cover of the primer before having done some of the smaller details like on the belly. But what is done, and it can be worked with. also try and get underneath the wing with more detailed parts. So basically the only spot that I'm going to do the quick way is on its back. And that's just because there's so many spikes. Oh my goodness, the spikes. And the only reason I'm really doing the bottom of the feet at all is just kind of cover up the plastic where the primer couldn't get to. And these will be done in a bone. I'm kind of taking the extra paint from that stroke down the platings to get rid of the paintbrush line. Spikes, all the spikes. Spikes are almost making me want to do this with leather gloves. Almost. I think I'd lose a little bit of dexterity if I did that though. A little bit harder as I get further down the tail since all of the detailing gets so much smaller. And again, I bring it down on the spikes even though they're going to be more of a bone-like red than an actual red. It gives me a smoother transition. Sorry, I totally took it away from the camera. That's my bad. tail. Ow. All these spikes. All these spikes. They're so delightfully stuck in my gloves. I'm getting back in here on the belly to get the scaling around the bone area. I typically do kind of a slow movement close to the spot I don't want the paint, and then I'll do a brush out to get the excess away. So it kind of works out as a nice way to blend it through. I'm gonna say ow every time I have to move this thing. Right here in the armpit, did not get very much of the primer spray. So, definitely a good thing to go through. Chroma! Yes, dragon belly. It is getting a paintbrush belly rub. There is part of me that wishes the miniature could be broken down a little bit, considering it would honestly make it a billion times easier if I could just take the wings off and then reattach them when the rest of the body would be done. But that is not how these are built. So there is a lot of rearranging, shifting, and getting stabbed in the hand with all these spikes. Hence the constant ows. As I headbutt the camera. Sorry! Anybody who has motion sickness, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm confused about it too. It would have made it a lot easier. The silver dragon I did, I think his wings came off. I know I've done at least one miniature where some of it did come off, and it was a billion times easier to do it. Kind of wish there was more like that. Okay. I'm not sure if they'd be cheaper. I know it'd be easier to work with. Ow, stupid spike, get out of my glove. I'm gonna have a giant hole in one of my gloves here any moment. Always happens, always. Well, except for the dragons, they don't have like crazy amounts of spikes. Yeah, true. I think I'd be concerned about not getting a proper matching set, considering if it's just coming off the factory line, it could end up that one spot doesn't necessarily fit with the rest, and that would be a little bit of a problem. God, trying to figure out how to get to his neck. Yeah, it is a really big block. But it wouldn't be a challenge if you didn't have to move it around 5 billion times and hope that you don't stab yourself. I think this is also why my paintbrushes don't live very long, considering I have to cram them into weird angles. Oh, I'm a dentist. Oh no. I became the thing I fear. That is actually one line of work I would never actually consider doing. I'm trying to get some of the excess out of the crevices. The paint was a little thick. I mean, I don't really like scaring people that much. Like, Halloween time and scaring the crap out of kids is a completely different thing, but like, as far as like occupation-wise, I don't want to be scaring people when I'm doing my job. Like, I wouldn't even be one of those actors who scares people at haunted houses. Partly because of people like my partner. He is a fight first instead of flight, so getting punched in the face when doing your job probably isn't a fun experience. I know when I worked at call center, I'm pretty sure some of my angry Karens would have been very happy to have reached through and popped me once or twice. But they did it verbally instead. So I've almost gotten a decent amount around that. Yeah, call center work is definitely a level of hell. I actually have started applying for jobs in the behind the scenes life, or behind the screen life, just to kind of help make ends meet a little bit easier. And one of them that got back to me is telework, where basically there's going to be a lot of cold calling and sales, and I'm just like, oh yay, this is going to be delightful. Gotta do something. By all rights, I should do the plating that's underneath the jaw, because there is a few bone platings there. I'll probably go back and do that while I do the spikes. I think the worst part about working sales call center is I'm actually kind of good at it. So I at least know I'll be able to like do it. It's just a matter of the enjoyment level. Okay, I'm gonna get in on the mouth. Normally I wouldn't do too much with the mouth until later, but his tongue's going to be red anyway, and it just makes it easier to kind of do it at the same time. Yeah. I wish I had the ability to truly not give a fuck. That is not an ability my brain lets me have, sadly. Like, I was able to de-escalate a lot of situations, but as soon as the customer would make it like an actual personal attack is typically when I started having issues. Considering I am very much a person of, I would either like to rage back at you or I'm going to break down crying at a certain point. I don't have an in-between of being able to handle it. I had one person during Black Friday who remembered my name from the internal greet. They had been passed around to the call center and the stores, and it basically came down to they bought a lot of an item that was guaranteed to not be in stock anymore. It was being discontinued. And they were told this when they originally made the order and did all of the stuff. They then were pissed because they couldn't find any more, and there was not any more nationwide. And they decided to make it everybody's problem. And he just wanted to chew me out back and forth into as much as he could, and I started shaking and kind of crying. And my manager came over and he's like, just send him off to a manager. And I let the guy know, hey, it's going to be like an hour, but I'm getting you over to a manager. And it was just horrible. And continued to yell. And my manager finally just sent him there without telling him. And he was like, are you okay? You're really shaking and everything. And I was like, I'm fine. I was trying not to scream back. Considering I wanted to yell so bad. Nice. That's nice. I wish I could rage out. That would, I really wanted to. So right now I'm adding a decent amount of water to the remaining red I have, and that's so I can work it through his spikes and everything without having to go through like 500 times, considering this is... Ah! Okay, phew! One of my paintbrushes started to make a run for it. And now that I have all of the smaller details on the belly covered, I can kind of come in a bit rashly with the brush and do taps and stuff. Like, this is a much bigger brush than you would normally. I'm gonna try and get a decent view for it. Here we go. I'll just... There. So it's a little bit bigger than the other brushes, and it works really well for kind of turning the red into an oil. Kind of like when I do the washes for at the end. But I can do that with the actual paint to get a full-on coat of pigment, and as long as it's not required to cover too much, it gives you that nice layer of it. And since I have the base red, it's a lot easier to just kind of blend it in. It looks a little bit more natural. Yes, little kobolds going through and being like, yes, we're gonna make you look so pretty. I could always imagine them like actively getting a bunch of like almost car cleaning set up for the dragon of, let us clean you, it is time. I love kobolds, they're a lot of fun. Now I'm just making sure I kind of get underneath. I did get in there, but not quite as thoroughly as a quick brush through with a wash can. My music! Why did my music stop? It's not allowed. Not allowed. I need my tunage. Yes! You did distract me, but it's fine. I like being distracted. Sometimes. I say that and now everybody's gonna be like, let's distract her! No. So I know right now it's not easy to see considering the wing location versus what I can show versus what I can see. I'm waiting for the day that you can actually hook up a camera to your eyeballs and your nervous system and actually just film what you're actively seeing. The day that comes out, I will be all over it. Yes, cyberware. Did you see the outline of my tattoo that I'm getting? I know I posted it on Twitch. I'm not sure if I put it on the Discord. I don't think I did. I am currently in the process of getting a spine tattoo down my spine. And it's of a cybernetic spine. Since I have degenerative disc disease in my lower lumbar, I'm constantly making the joke of I would just like a new spine. Can I get a new spine? I feel like a new spine would fix all of my issues. We're not at the spot of cyberware yet, but I can at least get one tattooed on. So that is what I have been doing. It is basically my Christmas for the next 5 years, including my birthday. So kind of going with that. So far I am absolutely in love with it. The tattoo artist came up with a really beautiful and really badass design for it. I'm super stoked to see it colored. The artist has actually won awards for color tattoos, so I'm pretty stoked to see just how detailed the color will be. Yes, warranty repair. Yep, definitely. I would think that would have to be like a mandatory thing once we get to like where we can wear cybernetics and everything, is the warranties are definitely going to be a necessity, because you don't want your artificial heart to just give out and not be able to fix it, especially if like healthcare hasn't changed. Like, you need that shit to last. And I know I've got a decent amount of the body underbelly already. I'm just making sure I get the small little parts really thoroughly. All of the spikes, all of the spikes. They hurt. But I always do the wash color red last, considering I have to add so much water to make it spread easy that it's kind of hard to use it for extreme detail after. Not always, but sometimes. Considering I don't want the pigment too thick while I do this. If it's too thick, I'll lose a lot of the detail. Like, there are some tiny little spikes that I would like not to lose if I can help it. Yeah. Total failure that definitely kills. I could also imagine it going like Repo Man style, where if you like miss a payment on your cybernetic implant, that they send somebody out to just take it from you. I could definitely see that being a thing. I would really wonder about operas then, though. I would be like, oh, are we going to have more amazing grim operas? Considering I could totally get behind that. Yeah, service warranties that aren't trash. Yeah, that would be really nice. should have put a little bit more of an orange in this mix to make the contrast a little bit easier for me to tell. But it would also make it a little bit harder to cover everything. My cat hates me. He just cut a fart and ran. God, cat, what did you eat? Whew. That was a delightful experience. Oh, cheap plastic replacements. Yeah, that would definitely probably be a thing, especially for like eyes instead of like a glass actually usable eye. They're just like, here's a plastic replacement. That's not gonna work. Yeah. I mean, there's a RP that my partner does where it's kind of like cyberpunk. It's actually based off of that world, and organs are basically grown in vats to be used. It's actually the cybernetics that's the important part. I found that really interesting of a world-building aspect. I mean, if he's feeling threatened by the dragon, I think my kitten has bigger issues than anything else. I think it's because he got some special wet food the other day, and it's probably a little rich for his tummy. I'm just gonna kind of drag it down the fins too, considering I might leave them red. I don't really like the idea of leaving them red. I might do kind of an orange spike theme with those to where it's not quite the bone color, but definitely more sturdy than like a normal scale would be. Yeah, horses are like extra hard to take care of. You look at them wrong and they're sick. Growing up, I always wanted a horse, and was constantly bugging my dad. I was like, hey, I want a horse. I want a horse. I was not the kid that wanted a pony. I wanted a horse. And he was constantly like, nope. It wasn't until I was old enough. I had a friend out in DC who had a horse. And after I figured out how much care goes into them, how much can go wrong, how much it costs, I was like, I'm going to enjoy horses through other people. I will enjoy other people's horses. That is how I will enjoy them. And I stand by that choice. Ow. I almost feel like that just for this miniature I need to like set up an ow counter for every single time I say ow. Considering it happens. It happens all the time. Ooh, writing accidents. Yeah, that's ouch. Ugh. I got bit by a horse when I was younger, and that was pretty gnarly in itself. My mom has a really bad scarred elbow from falling off. Despite all of that, I was still very much, I want one! Yeah, no. I actually really like how this brush is working, and I kind of wish I had used it on the wings. The Mohawk spikes. It's delightful. Normally I'd use the mill oil when I fully finish. Ow! We're a long way from finish, but I'm probably going to actually use the red wash and see how that turns out, considering I normally use the darker washes to really get the contrast, but I kind of want to see how actually using the color will work. Ow! All of the freaking roaches. Like, I'm sure you can hear every time my glove snags on them, it's like pop, pop. Lurkid! I hope I said that right. If I didn't, please correct me. Welcome in. I hope you're doing well. I am having my hand stabbed by this very spiky dragon. It will come out really pretty. I am really excited. This is my second red dragon that I've done. First time I filmed it, or have streamed it, / filmed it, / done it in front of people. So I'm really kind of stoked to show how I do the red dragons. Especially the horde. The horde was really my favorite part of the first one. So I'm definitely looking forward to going through with that. The tentacle filter. It's not identical. Oh, well, at least you like hearing it said different. I'll definitely call you Lurk, since you said that is okay. And it is good to hear that you are doing well. I am definitely pitching Cobalt's doing fine detail cleaning on dragons now. That is an image that is officially stuck in my head. I am never not going to think of that now. For brands, I use a mix between MSP and war paints. So war paints and MSP are probably my favorites. I mean, a foxbold could, but I would imagine getting paint out of fur would be really, really hard. Like, I've gotten paint in my hair, and that was an absolute nightmare. So I would think that would be something they would want to avoid. Okay, now I'm just kind of going through, making sure I got as much as I can. Once I actually start doing more of the details, it'll kind of pop a little bit more. Yeah, scalp polish and oil would definitely probably be easier to clean. Okay, I'm gonna make sure the toes and legs are fully covered. And I'm gonna try and avoid the bottom. Like, I did the bottom just enough to get the plastic covered. But since they're going to be hard into the base, and the base is going to have a decent layer of glitter and other things, I kind of want to leave it open for easy access to glue it into spot. Yeah, Citadel is pretty pricey. I have some Citadel. It's actually what I use for my washes and dry rubs. But MSP had a really nice deal for large amounts. They had a deal for 150 colors for, I think it was $70. And I did that almost a year ago, or almost 2 years ago now. So a lot of my paints I have to unclog, but they're still really good. Nice! That is gonna look badass. I want to do more large miniatures. The small ones do not show up well on the webcam, so I'm definitely getting more into the big ones, and I really like the freedom that the bigger models give, considering there's a lot easier time to like blend the colors and fully kind of immerse into the different aspects of the bodies and all of that. I really like that aspect a lot more than drawing teeny tiny little things that it's kind of hard to do that with. That, and I'm kind of past flesh tone at this point. Early on in my painting, I did a Conan the Barbarian game set for my cousin-in-law, and it came out really, really nice, but oh my goodness, I got so tired of flesh tone, I was just like, if I ever have to do flesh tone again, I think I'm going to murder someone. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I don't spend as much time as you would think painting. I was kind of told by my partner that I could be labeled as like a speed painter for how quickly I can get a miniature out. I don't really do that as much anymore. With my spine, I can't sit for long periods. So this will actually take me probably a few months to finish. Yes, these are D&D miniatures. I have not done too many miniatures outside of the D&D realm other than the Conan set. And again, that was a horrible experience. Like, it came out really good. I'm really happy with how all of them came out. But good God, it was just so much. Yes, the blue dragon was my last one. I actually still have him close by. He has not been boxed yet, which I'll grab him really quick. So this was the blue dragon that I did, and he's fully done now. He will be, excuse me, red dragon, I need to move you over. There we go. He will be actually one of the dragons that I put on the Etsy page once I fully get it done. So he will be available for somebody's campaigns. And I'm really happy with how he came out. He had a lot of really nice detail into it. And after the red dragon, I think I'm going to do the bone dragon that I was supposed to do Halloween time, but life has been getting really creative with its spiked boot shoes. Like, it has been very interesting lately. Okay, I think we got everything covered with the red. I think I'm gonna start getting ready for the orange and red for underneath his wings. Or its wings. Let me see. I'm going to use the brilliant red, considering that's going to give me a lot of a brighter red to base off of. So this is going to be the brilliant red I'm going to use. Probably with a little bit of, I don't want to use fresh blood. Probably the pure red, considering that gives me another really bright kind of orangish red. Yay, webcam, for not wanting to focus. And I'm probably going to do the lava orange, which is another war paint one. And what I am going to try and do, we're going to start on this wing since it's the more open of the two, and it'll give me a little bit more of a chance to kind of experiment with the brushing out of it. And these actually won't be mixed together on the platter. I'll be doing 3 different spots to pick up one and then go pick up the other as I blend. Concern, I blend down actively as I go. I guess the technical term for it, if you do such technical terms, is dry brushing. which is basically where you kind of just put down a little bit of paint and then move it around to blend. Ah, stop leaking out the top. I unclog you and you start spewing. That's not an okay thing. My goodness. Sometimes the paint gets a little excited to come out, and I have to remind it to calm down. Those two reds are actually really close together for what they looked like. Kind of meh on that, but it is what it is. The orange will help kind of get some of that into a different location. I'm actually going to go back to using a smaller brush because they're a little bit easier to control. Okay, what's going on with my tunage? Oh, it's just really quiet. Okay. So I'm going to come in here, hopefully have it. Ow! Those freaking spikes! Right into the webbing of my thumb. Just, ugh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with one of the bright reds, and I'm just going to kind of lightly drag it in. And I'm going to come in with the other red to kind of give it some depth without taking too much away. Considering I like having a kind of cluster of colors when it comes down to fully blending for the webbing. One thing I'm going to do at the edge of the right in here is I'm going to give it kind of a burnt look. I didn't do it with the first one, but I've seen a reference picture that I've been using that has a little bit of a burnt look, and I'm really excited. Oh, yes, Dragomir, it is out to get me for sure. Definitely. It is all about getting me. I just kind of want to get some of the more orange and bright color into this, which isn't taking like I would think it would. I might go in with a bit of a yellow or a brighter orange to really get that look. There we go. Just had to drop some more of that orange in there. There was a time I would do more with the knuckles and like the finger parts, but I actually kind of like how it looks as the webbing covers them, so it's kind of nice to have that to where it's just kind of accepted. That orange is kind of bubbly. Some of the paints will have a little bit more water in them, so they will get that bubble effect, and it takes just a little bit more smoothing out and working with it before it kind of calms its nonsense. Ow, ow, ow. Are you going to have a tally up by the end of this chroma? I think I probably will come in with a yellow. Maybe like a canary yellow to kind of bring a little bit more out. Here we go. We'll go with a dramatic yellow, or demonic. Something. Words, they're fun. So we're going to be using some of this in with the orange. No worries, thank you for the lurk. Yes, take care of your cobalt. Ooh, that was a really watery yellow, so And it's probably just going to lighten things up to a different type of orange, which is fine considering I'm not getting that much brightness out of this mixture currently. Like, I want some actual decent contrast to this would be nice. And when I come in here like this, I'm really just trying to get... Yeah, I'm not getting much pigment off of this yellow. That's great. I remember this yellow now. I don't like you. Why did I pull you off? Why do I still have you? Because once I think I actually have it mastered, it'll do this, where it does like a crap ton of pigment all at once. It's actually kind of what I'm looking for. Okay, I can't be mad at it anymore. Woo! Thank you so much for the follow! Nerd Holla? I hope I said that right. If not, please let me know. Give me a nice little yell on how to properly say it. But yeah, I really like the orange and yellow now. I'm at peace with this orange yellow. So kind of taking out the red. Okay, I will just call you nerd. Of course, I'm a nerd too. Like, I like me some Star Trek all day. So I think I am going to stick with the yellow and orange, considering they're both thin enough that, ow, 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 ow. These spikes are going to make me say ow a lot. But I definitely think I like this yellow on the base of the red, because it's giving me a decent amount of contrast at the same time as not being overpowering, which is definitely a bit of the intention. And at the tip I will be going through with some grays and blacks to give it kind of a burnt char look. Yes, D&D for life. So far, most of what I do is going to be the D&D miniatures. I might look into doing some of the other game miniatures, but I kind of want to avoid people. Flesh tone is currently a tone that I'm still very, very frustrated with. I am half tempted to get the bigger brush. Though I like using the little brush, making a little bit difficult with the full blending I would like. So I'm just going to use the little brush for in the corners right now. Ow. I have a feeling if I continue too much, I'm going to end up actually actively having a bleeding hand. The first one, I didn't fully use gloves to protect the paint from my grease at the time, and I definitely poked myself hard enough that I was thinking about it for a while. So underneath the wing, I'm not too concerned about having a huge contrast. Just a little bit will be enough to kind of go into the bigger stuff. Since it's underneath, it's kind of expected to be darker. So it makes it a little bit easier to be a little more forgiving. That, and as the yellow starts to dry, it gets a little bit thicker, so it kind of holds a little bit better. I totally said I was going to get the bigger brush, and I'm just like, nope, tiny brush. For this spot right here, I am going to do a little bit of the red mixed in, considering it is more of his arm than it is the wing. Well, it is the wing, but it's like the arm of the wing. If that makes any sort of sense. I'm going to pull the color from it just a little bit. Whoop, sorry for anybody who has motion sickness. I am so sorry. I kind of drag the color down, that way it does a proper blend into the wing, so it doesn't look like it's just kind of standing out. Okay, sorry, it is still very much a part of the active wing on the other side. Kind of do an aggressive brush down. Makes it a little bit easier, as weird as that sounds, to get a kind of dramatic look of a fade. I actually want the thumb to remain that deep red, so I'm going to kind of fade into it by having the brush pretty much dry to where it just has a very tiny amount of the orange red, and then I just kind of tap it through. And it gives just enough to show a change. Now I'm ready to go back through on the big side of the wing, which I'm going to get the bigger brush after I clean the first one. Gotta make sure the brushes are clean. I made a mistake early on when I was learning how to paint of leaving one of my brushes with paint in it. Ruined the brush, and actually my dad who taught me a really neat trick for getting acrylic paint out of brushes. And it's basically let it soak in Simple Green. It's an all-purpose cleaner that you can actually find in the automotive section of stores. And it worked really, really well for getting the paint out and at least making the brush to where it was usable again. So I'm going back to just the orange and the yellow. I'm actually hoping I didn't get too much of them. And I'm going to come in here and do very quick drags. Kind of just get the contrast in here. I definitely want it lighter on the tips and then coming in darker. And then when I do the burnt tips, it'll be the grays that'll come up to a little bit into it. It won't be like close to the center or anything like that, but it'll be enough of a contrast between all of it to really give it kind of the three different colors coming through. And even though the tips will be done with a burnt color, I definitely like layering the paints. That way, if I can't necessarily cover all of it, it still has that bright color coming through. So it gives it just a little bit more depth. Orange yellow is coming out. I just realized I turned it all the way around to just hold it in the exact same position. Lol. I kind of like having it a little bit spotchy, like as weird as that sounds. I really like having the different shades kind of cross with each other. Just kind of makes it feel a little bit more realistic, as that might sound a little strange, but I think it looks a little bit more realistic for as far as, like, if you look at a bird wing, there's multiple different shades of their color in it. So having it kind of resemble the changing color of movement kind of brings a little bit more to it. I'm not sure if it's translating through. I added a little bit too much water to it, and it's currently doing a little bit of bubbling. I'm not sure if it's showing up well on the webcam, but right in here there's some bubbles. So I'm trying to work it until it dries to actually get those bubbles out and still get that smooth look. That's probably my biggest complaint about adding water to make things move, is occasionally you will get the bubbles, and the bubbles are kind of frustrating. I'm just going to really quickly drag into the deeper red, but I'm not going to fully close it in with the strong pigments. Kind of enough to kind of bring it together. And this is kind of where the dry brushing comes in, considering there is still pigment in it, like you can see it on my glove. So there is pigment in it, but it's not enough pigment to take away from the red. It kind of holds on to the raised pieces to give it kind of a highlighted look. Ow! God, these spikes. These spikes are so mean. They're so mean. Alright, now to kind of try and get the other wing, which is going to be a challenge. I'm going to start with the smaller brush again. But the second wing, I'm going to be kind of risking hitting the body a lot. I can kind of pry it open. I don't like prying it too much, considering I'm very concerned if I actually, like, break it. I've never broken one, but I do want to. Dark Raiden, how are you today? I am doing pretty good. I am currently stabbing my hand 15 times. If you guys haven't already, please check out Dark Raiden on Twitch. They are an amazing streamer who typically streams ESO, which I normally play. Thursdays are my something different days. Give me just a second. I need to find a link. That way I can actually link Dark Raiden. I can do this, I can do this, I can do this.
I say we do a chat. Do you want to do it? That's the question. Like, if chat doesn't want to do it, we don't have to.
No. Mute that. Give me just a second. It shouldn't take me much longer. There we go. No, I do. I have to. I want to. So there is their link. Please go check them out. Follows are free. And it helps the community grow. So be sure to check them out. How are you today, Dark Raiden? Woohoo! I'm so glad you are. It is nice to have you here. So I'm actually going to add a little bit more of the red for underneath the wing since it is darker there. And I just got a lot of water on this brush. And I got too much water and not enough pigment. Yay! Luckily, it's not a huge deal. As I realize I'm not in frame. Sorry. It gets a little hard when you get to the deeper parts to avoid missing bits. Ow, 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 ow. Ouch. Yeah, COVID isn't fun. Definitely hope you start kicking its ass back. Like, COVID needs its ass kicked a few good times. There we go, starting to get some of that deeper orange in here. Unlike the other one, I'm going to get the arm section, I'm just going to call it the arm of the wing, a little bit later down the road after we get some of the webbing fully immersed. I think I'm about to get my big brush out again. That's what he said. Huh. Yes, I make very odd, crappy jokes. Forewarning.
I'm gonna kill you, Sam.
Whoa, what was that?
Ginger!
There we go. That was weird. My music is so quiet. It's a 3-hour thing and it's just super silent. Not okay. And if you ever get to where you have like a really sharp brush line, like I just did there, since I kind of stopped and this paint is a little drying, you can add a little bit of water and kind of move it back and forth and it'll take care of it to where it's not as overpowering. I'm actually going to switch over to the big brush now. I'm kind of spreading it as much as I can comfortably without feeling like I'm going to break it. Because breaking it would not be productive to finishing it. And since I am going to be coming through with the red to blend down, I'm blending this up a little bit. I'm gonna have choice words for this thing here in a bit. It's a good thing I have my stuff marked as mature, because I don't really want to be cussing around kids too much. My partner had been an active duty Marine for a while, and needless to say, we both swear like sailors at a decent amount of the time. I try and catch myself to where I'm not cussing all the time on my stream, but it definitely happens. Oh, it's so hard to see in this this corner. I also am having to release a little bit of the pressure considering the plastic is starting to actually bend. I will say I like working on the plastic miniatures more than I do the pewter, as I called it, pewter miniatures, just for the maneuverability and ability to kind of move the important pieces around a little bit more for easier to get to them. You cannot do that with the pewter one without it possibly snapping. And snapping miniatures is not a fun situation. Having a little bit of a harder time getting some of that bright contrast on this one. So I'm going to go through with a little bit more of just the yellow to see if I can't bring out more orange out of the red that's already there. Bit of the bubbling again. This yellow is very well known for its bubbling. It's actually one of the reasons it's not my favorite, but it has such a beautiful color to it. It's hard to say no to it when it's pretty. But the bubbles definitely play a factor in my enjoyment of it. Oh, there's a spike going directly into my arm. Oh, I need to hold it. This is the perfect angle though. I actually really like how this yellow is working this time for what I just laid down. Oh, my poor left hand is not appreciating this hold, but it is the perfect angle I need for getting in here. And I'm hardly taking my brush off. Like I'm actually pushing the bristles back because I really don't want to risk hitting the body. Going back and trying to pick paint up off of a surface is definitely harder than it is than just to try and avoid it. Music's too loud. I am sorry if this is kind of an audio nightmare. Not my intent for it to be. decent amount of it. I'm going to go back through with the smaller one now and do a bit of the red-orange on the wing arm after I get a sip of coffee, because coffee is life. Someday, I hope the coffee that I drink will sponsor me. That would be nice. I'd totally advertise it every single moment I could. Okay. Now I have to figure out the proper angle to get in at this arm. Ow! Ah, these spikes. These spikes are becoming the bane of my existence. Okay, come on. Actually, one of my favorite classical songs. It's one of the songs I listened to. That sounds horrible. This is one of the songs I listened to in high school. Yeah, that's the type of music I listen to. I listen to shit I used to listen to in high school. So, but it's actually what I listened to when I was needing to do homework and was not in the mood to do homework. Which I guess makes it a very productive song. I actually like how this arm is fading into everything better than the last one. I'm not sure if it's because the paint had time to dry and I can get an easier dry blend. I enjoy it. Sorry, I'm not even in frame. Ew. Okay, I really like how that turned out. That turned out with a really nice blend into the wing. One thing that is a little weird about doing kind of a dry brush blend is it'll feel a little sticky when you do it. At least sometimes. Ow. Let me make sure I haven't like rubbed off any of the paint. One thing I have a bad habit of doing that I really need to figure out how to stop doing is when I'm doing these, I tend to push the miniature down onto the table, and I kind of can end up with a spot or two rubbed off, like the tip of his tail. Got it. So I'm gonna have to touch the very tip of his tail to give it its color back. There's some areas where the plastic just naturally touches that I have to occasionally go back and do a little touch up on. I think the tail had it happen, considering I'm sitting here stabbing my hand 15 times to Sunday with it. start kind of planning out how to do the scorched look on the tips of those wings. Okay, so I need to get my black paints. Blacks and grays. Knock over a few things. I am going to touch it with a little bit of a metallic, so this isn't one of the normal paints that... This is seriously one of those... It is strictly to get just a little bit of glimmer out of it. It does not put a lot of pigment down. And I'm just using abyssal black. It's pretty much as dark as you can get. And then dark stone. And I will mix some of it with probably the ruby red, since it's one of the darker reds I have, to kind of just include more in on that burnt look. Woo! Well, that was kind of gross. The stone I just squirted out kind of came out like a booger. So that's it right there. That is a mix of kind of the gunk that goes into making your paint and some of the pigment. So I need to blend it a little bit better in its container. There we go. And of course the glitter stuff is all sorts of mix. So I'm not sure if many people know, but they're kind of pointed nozzle. To unclog them, I just use a straight pen. It's been very effective to do that. Back over. I'm going to start on the open wing, considering it's more of an easy spot to kind of experiment with it without the risk of messing up the body. I'm not terribly worried, but I am going to leave the points, and they'll be kind of bone-like when I actually get them going. Let's get in here and start getting some of this. Just going to kind of tap. I'm not going to do too terrible much blending, since I'm kind of going for a burnt look. You have dark spots and you have lighter spots that kind of fade through. So doing just a little bit of tapping to get that instead of full-on strokes should be a good spot to start. Do it right, I might not even have to use the gray. Ooh, that one really hurt. Testing out a few different methods. I think doing a decent dab of the black and then kind of just dotting around it and blending it in is getting the better result, because that's what I've been doing on this one. I definitely like how that one looks more than the others, so I'm going to kind of try and fix it on the others. But it's okay if it's not 100% perfect, considering burns hardly ever look the same. It's kind of just a smoldering color. It's not too much looking like horrifically done. I am going to take a little bit into the center, just not too much pigment on it. And so after I get these done, I think I will probably call it a day. I kind of like giving my brain a little bit of time to reset in between paint sessions to kind of go back and look at it at a different perspective than when I originally was going. It's always nice to get a few different ideas at the same time. want to do kind of a fade up in to the rest of the wing to kind of soften the burn look a little too. Try to get up toward the body a little. I kind of just smush the brush down and push toward the body. I don't try and do a full brush stroke from near the body because I really don't want to try. I don't want to accidentally get the body. This effect is strictly for the wings. I don't want to take it anywhere else. I might go through and do the spikes with the black to kind of bring in that burnt look a little bit more. I really like how it's starting to look. I try not to work it too much. Every time I work something too much, I end up kind of taking away from it. A lot of times less is definitely more. It's kind of good to figure out where that kind of ends and begins for how much you're wanting to do. I'm kind of using the metallic color as a way to loosen the black to get more of a spread of the black. And so I'm getting this really nice kind of shiny gray orange that comes up through. And it's just giving a little extra detail. While also kind of smoothing through some of the patchiness. I got that one pretty good. I really like how it's looking. I do want to keep the back still pretty solid red. I want the bottom to kind of have a different tone to it than the top. Okay, let's try and get this bottom area now. I'm going to give my brush a little bit of a clean since it was starting to get sticky, which does happen. I just don't like leaving my brushes sticky for long periods, because then they kind of stay that way. I'm going to try a little bit of a different technique on this one as well. So since I was basically doing black line last one, I'm just going to start with that this time and then dab up away from it and see how that works. Believe it or not, I like experimenting as I go and do something. It gives a lot of interesting results, sometimes better than I anticipate. Shiny one is kind of watery on its own. It works really nice to reawaken the black and get some movement. So I'm going to kind of lay down the black with intention of using the shiny to kind of get it to go further and where it can go. more of the colors, considering the metallic is kind of drying, and when that dries, it does not do the same easing motion it was before. I like how this wing's turning out a little bit more. They're both still getting a very similar effect, so it doesn't look out of place. I'm getting a little bit up in the top area and the center area to kind of give it kind of like an ash floating look. always nice when it gets to the outer end, considering it's easier to hold. Lay down the black a little bit more before doing too much more with the metallic. That way when I add the metallic, it still shows through. Softened. Refreshing my paints a little. metallic put down on the tray that time. I'm so close to the end of the wing, I didn't think I'd need too much more. Alright. I really like how those turned out. Helps if I learn how to tilt it the right way. So, it definitely looks a little scorched, which is definitely the look I was going for. And I really like how that turned out. So, I am stoked. I am very happy with where it's going. I think I'm going to call it for the day. I feel like this is a good stopping point before starting on some of the horns and all of that. So hopefully, if life doesn't get new cleats, I will be streaming next Thursday for painting. I stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Thursdays are my something different, which is something other than ESO, because typically I do ESO streams throughout the week, and that's typically what I do with those. Let me put... I can reach around. Let me figure out somebody to raid really quick. Kind of share the community, help other streamers as well. I know who we will raid. We are going to raid on over to Sleazy Customs. He is also an artist and a multi-game streamer. So let me go. Get all of this together. So if I type the right buttons. And thank you, Nerd Holla, for following. Thank you so much for coming in. there. If you could give him a follow, that would be amazing. Follows are free and much appreciated. I can talk. So I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Please take care of yourselves. Definitely, take care of yourselves. Stay hydrated. I lost my train of thought. You all take care now. Bye.